Okay, reviewing the Sunday Million contest on FanDuel for Week 6. $1 million to first place. RotoRadar's very own Mimi of 3. You guys know him if you're in the RotoRadar Discord server as Jarhead. He comes around, super awesome guy, super family oriented, ex-Marine. So yeah, he spends his time hanging out, doing a lot of stuff with the grandkids, playing some DFS, and he came into this lineup. Josh, we apparently this is a single bullet or less. I think that he said it was a single bullet, less than 5 entries. I know for sure. He also played in some other tournaments, but this one obviously, I think he pretty much took down whatever contest he was in because a 210-point score on half PPR site of FanDuel is extremely impressive. So, any thoughts? What was your first reaction to this? This is something, guys, that we actually didn't know about until like over the fourth quarter of that game of that Dallas game because if you see, as you can see right next to me here, he had Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb as his two last and final plays, and he really kind of climbed and took everything down himself in that last like 5-10 minutes. So initial reactions to all of this when you first saw it yesterday.
Yeah, I first saw it and I had to take a double check. I was like, wait a minute, hold on. Is that a Roto Radar logo? Because I didn't know anything about it. I happened to not be in the chat yesterday. Usually I am in the NFL chat, sometimes just lurking while I'm watching football, but I had a ton of schoolwork to get done yesterday. So
Yeah.
I had to put everything down outside of having NFL on the TV and just focus on that schoolwork. But I saw people congratulating him and I was like, but like he didn't really win a million. He probably had like a takedown or something. He didn't really win $1 million, but no, $1 million straight up. I thought like, oh, he won the Millie Maker. Like maybe he split with someone, but no, he just won straight up $1 million. So absolutely awesome to see for him. I think it's super cool, and it's all guys that we talked about, which I think is absolutely awesome.
Yeah, seriously. And again, like he was probably several thousand places out of first coming into the fourth quarter, maybe even several 10,000s out because this contest obviously is extremely large. So yeah, he needed the absolute nuts to happen, which they did, and Dak Prescott to CD Lamb with the literal walk-off victory in overtime against the Patriots was the reason that he took this thing down. Dak Prescott, 4% owned in the Millie Maker. Man, and we talked about this on a couple of different times last week. What was Bill going to do? How were they going to stop this Dallas Cowboys offense? I think that the actual game plan was stopping the run and forcing the Cowboys to throw. I did not expect the Patriots to be as in this game as they were. So you want to talk about that game? I know I personally didn't watch it too much until the second half. So anything you saw there, I mean, Dak Prescott throwing 51 times kind of feels like an eerily similar spot to last season before he got hurt. So this team hasn't had to do that in several weeks, given that they were up by 20 plus points to all of their opponents. So yeah, I mean, are we trying to? I mean, I don't know. You can't necessarily predict Prescott to go over 30 passing attempts, but when he does, he's just money.
Yeah, I wouldn't have told you that he got 51 passing attempts if you watched the whole first half because I did happen to have this game on and I was watching it pretty closely just because my week was pretty much over and I had Dak in the 4 p.m. only. So, like, I was watching him. I wanted to see what he was able to do. And through the first half, he did not look good. Like, he didn't look like he had his stuff. Looked like Belichick was getting to him. And you can clearly see that didn't matter when it came to the second half. He absolutely dominated out there when it came to the second half. Had the 3 touchdowns, looked really good, had all those passing attempts and a lot of catches, most of it CeeDee Lamb. But he just looked really solid. And I was surprised, too, that the Patriots were in that game. I mean, the Patriots were even winning coming into the second half. So it was super surprising to see what that Patriots team was doing. But yeah, I just think that, it's kind of just everything played out the right way, which is what you need to happen if you're going to win $1 million.
Oh, it was the perfect game script. And let's also talk about, and I'm giving you guys the rest of the lineup now so you can see it on your screen. He had the Dallas Cowboys defense in this game. Normally, I wouldn't take this approach myself, but again, $1 million lineup, so I can't say anything bad about it at all. Dallas Cowboys defense had a pick six, Josh, in that last 10, 15 minutes of the game that allowed them to then get that much closer, get into that overtime, and then walk it off with CeeDee Lamb. It was pretty much a stars align perfect moment of game script for that game in a spot where honestly I thought it was one of the most gross games on the slate. So everybody, the ownership definitely tells you that people were not on the Dallas Cowboys this weekend, and getting close to 60 FanDuel points between your QB and your wide receiver one certainly sealed the deal there. Basically, on FanDuel, you are doing your best to get as many touchdowns as possible. Every single player on his roster scored a touchdown, which is what you need to win $1 million. It's really the only way to get to 200 FanDuel points. So let's just roll through it here. Any final comments on that Dallas Cowboys game?
Nope, let's keep moving.
All right, so loved the running backs all week here. All three of these guys were in the nut spots. Daryl Henderson going up against the New York Giants. We knew that the Rams were going to play from ahead, even though they didn't until the second quarter. So Daryl Henderson showed out, had 21 carries. Not the best production on the ground as I would have liked to have seen, but he did have a receiving touchdown, which is probably one of the only times that that's going to happen this year for him. Incredible play, obviously. If you guys have not seen that Daryl Henderson touchdown, go ahead and go back and watch it on YouTube or something. So that was really impressive to see from him. Again, probably a less than 5% chance that happens again this season in that fashion. But Daryl Henderson, one of my favorite running back plays of the week. He ate the Khalil Herbert chalk, which actually was extremely unowned in the Sunday Million. So we should talk about that really quick. Khalil Herbert and Daryl Henderson or Daryl Williams from Kansas City both were around 50% in cash games on FanDuel this weekend. Both really good plays. For me, I wanted to side with Khalil Herbert because I knew that the Bears at least were going to use their running back more in traditional form, where they were going to give him the bulk of the workload with nobody really behind him. Chiefs, I was a little bit shocked that they gave Williams as much as he got. So for me, Khalil Herbert was the clear play here. I'm just shocked at the ownership for this in the Sunday Million. I knew he was like, if you were playing a tournament, you're saying, who's the guy I'm crossing off first? And it was probably Khalil Herbert because he was expected to be the highest owned player on the slate. So you want to talk about that? Maybe, I don't know. Kareem Hunt was up there too. And the Kareem Hunt to pivot to Jonathan Taylor also was a massive play. Talk to me about Herbert, though. And do you think that the ownership was accurate here? For me, I think that it should have been a little bit higher.
Definitely should have been a little bit higher. I mean, this is one of the best value plays on the slate, in my opinion. So I think people misjudged a little bit not having him more in the Millie Maker, especially because you need that, type of lineup where you have a few pay down spots so you can pay up for some studs. You can see that he did exactly that in this lineup. So definitely surprised that Herbert was at 16%. I would have guessed that Herbert was at like 25% based on his ownership in cash.
Yeah, the lead was actually buried here by myself. I forgot to mention that Khalil Herbert actually had a touchdown that was called back from a holding penalty. So he could have had an even bigger score of like 217, 218, because that was like a 20-plus yard rush. So, at the end of the day, like, he's still, like, I'm not going to, but imagine if that was the beat that he had, because second place and third place, I want to just see if they had Khalil Herbert.
Nope, they all had Williams.
That's
Only person that had Khalil Herbert was the guy in fifth.
Amazing. Like,
yeah.
So I don't know. He still won first, but imagine that he doesn't get that first touchdown. Man, yeah, that would have been the biggest tilt ever. But again, super excited for Jarhead Mimi of 3. Let's walk through the rest of this lineup here. CeeDee Lamb, obviously, huge game, 2 touchdowns, sealed the deal, sealed the win for Mimi of 3. He jumped like 50, 60 points in the last 30 minutes of the slate, which you don't see very often. That's an incredible swing. Thielen, this was a spot where we both thought that the game total was too low, and I felt that it was pretty sneaky shootout for DFS purposes, as did you. Personally, for me, I would have probably sided, if anybody, with Justin Jefferson. Now, Adam Thielen was kind of a ghost last week, did not do much. This was a breakout spot for him. And I know he's been the touchdown guy this year, but 11 receptions for 126 receiving yards is something we haven't seen as consistently this year as we normally have with Thielen. So talk to me about this play. Obviously, this is his lowest owned piece of the lineup, 2.8% in the Sunday Million at 7,200.
Yeah, I remember it was some type of tout on Twitter saying that, like, It's clear that the age has gotten to Thielen because he's just not the same player as he has been in the past. And Thielen really stuck it to him and said, he's just fine. And as long as Kirk Cousins is in town, Thielen is going to get targeted at a ridiculous amount and get those touchdowns that we expect him to. So it was a really good game for Thielen. It was an awesome spot to roster him. I know our AP was talking about it before we went live, but like, having Thielen was a good GPP pivot because a lot of people were interested in Justin Jefferson this week. So
Yeah.
if you were able to get the Thielen at under a 5% ownership, you were feeling good about it.
Yeah, certainly. So this is just one of those plays that allowed him to gain leverage on the field, and he was able to eat some chalk like Henderson, Khalil Herbert, Jonathan Taylor, even a little bit of Cooper Kupp, who we'll talk about next here. So getting those plays that are under 5% are huge for this kind of build. Thielen, monster performance in that game for Minnesota. That was a crazy last quarter too. So out of the 1 p.m. games, this was easily, it was the longest one for sure, but it was also probably one of the more exciting ones, if not the most exciting one. So let's go ahead. And before we move on, we did say like Minnesota is really, really hard to predict when, we expect that games are going to shoot out, but either they end up in 60 points or they end up in like less than 20 points and everybody busts. So this was one of those spots where against Carolina, who's been a little bit shakier on defense, that Minnesota was able to come through late and win another really, really close game of one score. So Cooper Kupp, I said it was not really like the most optimal thing in the world to go him and Henderson on FanDuel. On DraftKings, go ahead. Like they were both way too cheap, but on FanDuel, I guess, I mean, if you, the way that we can look at this for FanDuel is that, yes, Cooper Kupp is probably underpriced for this spot, and Daryl Henderson was appropriately priced too. Smash matchup against New York. I did expect them to put up like 30 plus points here, but he did get pretty much all the touchdowns he needed from this team. Cooper Kupp, another massive spot for him after, we say he did it out, but it was, that was more of like the Robert Woods show last week. Cooper Kupp still had an amazing target share of over 25%, and this time, yet again, he's going to get that double-digit target work every single week, and you can't even use the argument, LA is going to blow him out, he's not going to do it very well, they're just going to run the ball out for the rest of the game. No, they continue to shove it down their throats all game. Cooper Kupp, 2 receiving touchdowns, 130 receiving yards off 9 receptions, coming in at 23% owned, which I think that was the main reason for that was because people wanted to fade Tyreek Hill with the injury, the quad that he was dealing with yesterday, pre warm-ups there, and then Devontae Adams was the clear must play in cash games for receivers. So the guy that people played to get off of those two was Cooper Kupp. Did you have the same kind of feeling there, or was this a little bit more surprising for you?
No, I had the exact kind of feeling. I realized as I was making my lineups yesterday for I did not play. I don't usually play in the Millie Maker. I was playing in the trying to qualify for a live final this season, so playing a lot of those $7 live final lineups. And as I was making my lineups, I was like, hey, it might be smart to get some Cooper Kupp action because this seems like a little bit of a GPP play. A lot of people are going to be on Hill. A lot of people are going to be on Adams. Kupp could go sneakily underowned and have an absolutely dominant performance because it is the Giants' defense and we don't really respect them. So I was kind of in that boat where I thought Kupp could have an amazing day, and he certainly did. He had an absolutely fantastic day. So really good to see him. I am surprised that you put Henderson and Kupp in the same lineup, but like you said, we can't criticize this lineup. It just won $1 million.
No, yeah, I mean the usage is undeniable for both of these guys. So when a team like the Rams is in like a smash spot like this against the Giants, things certainly went the right way. And even if Kupp scores 1 touchdown, I mean he probably gets really close to winning $1 million as well. So I mean he would have fallen short a little bit, but still the play worked out for him. I can't talk crap on it at all. I definitely would have suggested it more on DraftKings, but FanDuel, totally fine. CharkyBot, what's going on? Thank you for the sub. $1 million winner there. So guys, if we have 20 subs in this stream for the next 30 minutes, I will be giving away $20 to 2 people who are in this chat that are commenting. So again, if you want some dinner, we're going to get 2 people $20 straight cash to use for dinner tonight. So need 19 more subs to get there.
buy lunch, you buy dinner.
Yeah,
It's a great combo for the Monday streams.
it's exactly how it goes. Just wanted to give people, some congrats where congrats was due. So
For sure.
Ricky Seals-Jones in this lineup came in at 12.4% in tournaments. Another guy that people kind of fell off of in tournaments on FanDuel. In cash, he was the second most popular play. It actually was Mark Andrews, who was at the top of the list due to the pricing there. Ricky Seals-Jones came in second, and then Travis Kelce came in third. So Ricky Seals-Jones had that receiving touchdown. He's just been, Washington's just been so beat up with the skill player positions. So they did not have Logan Thomas. Curtis Samuel's struggling with a hamstring injury. De'Ami Brown's just banged up. And the Chiefs did a lot of double teaming against Terry McLaurin. So Ricky Seals-Jones was the guy that Taylor Heineke's just been looking at. And we even saw it like several weeks ago when they played the Giants. He's been looking at this dude the entire year. So Seals-Jones always was more of a DraftKings play for me on in cash games and in tournaments just because of the price tag. But at 5K, I mean, there are definitely worse options, and he was in a great spot this week against the Chiefs.
Yep, he certainly was in a great spot against the Chiefs. We saw he was targeted a ton without Logan Thomas last week, so I was expecting him to get targeted. I liked the price tag at 5K. I thought this was a solid spot to get him at. So I love the play here.
Yep, for sure. All right, bottom two players here. We talked about the Cowboys defense already. What an incredible, we said, how long is Dallas going to be able to continue this impressive streak on defense of getting turnovers and just, great scores. Like they did give up 29 points, which is, obviously not ideal. They got -1 because of that, but 2 sacks, 1 interception, 1 fumble recovery. They even got a block and a returned touchdown. So 13 points was one of the reasons that he was able to pull this off. Very impressive. Again, very unlikely correlation for me for the quarterback wide receiver defense play. But hey, we've seen crazier things happen, and you need crazy in order to win $1 million. So anything on the Cowboys defense?
Nope, you certainly need crazy, and it looks like the Cowboys are just going to be one of the best turnover teams, or one of the best teams at creating turnovers in all of football.
Yeah, for sure. All right, last but not least, Jonathan Taylor. We've been all over this guy for the past couple weeks here. We're not sure how many touches he was going to get with Marlon Mack kind of disrupting everything during that primetime game last week. So Jonathan Taylor knew the matchup was great. This is the spot where people wanted to get off Kareem Hunt, so they went to Jonathan Taylor for $100 more because Kareem Hunt was $7,400 on FanDuel. Jonathan Taylor, $75. Fantastic matchup against Houston. The main thing here that I want to touch on, as good of a spot as it was, he had 15 touches total. So when you talk about efficiency, this is the most ridiculous 2-week stretch of Jonathan Taylor's career in terms of efficiency, especially on those long touchdowns that he's now had 2 weeks in a row.
It's absolutely insane to see the fact that he's not getting the amount of touches that you need from an RB1, especially at this price tag of 7,500, but he's still doing more than paying it off. I mean, the guy almost hit 4x. So Jonathan Taylor's doing plenty to pay off the price tag, yet he's only getting not even into the 20s with his touches. And I don't know, it's interesting. It feels a little variance. It feels a little bit like good luck there, but it is what it is. I mean, it was a smash spot against Houston. So I think even with 15 touches, a lot of the elite backs in the league are going to be absolutely dominant.
Yep, absolutely. So, I mean, the final thing here is how do we approach Jonathan Taylor moving forward? That's kind of what my thought process is going to be.
Yeah, I don't know how we approach. I think it's just going to be matchup based, honestly. I think if he's in a tough matchup, I'm probably not going to be willing to go to him. But if he's not in a tough matchup, then you can consider him. It just all depends on the matchup, in my opinion.
For sure. Again, congratulations to Mimi of 3 Jarhead in the RotoRadar Discord. 210 FanDuel points is amazing. This is the biggest win in the company history in any sport. $1 million is hard to top. It's actually impossible to top unless they come out with something crazy in the next couple of years. So we finally did it, Josh. Finally had somebody take down $1 million, and it couldn't have gone to a better person. Anything else that you want to say in regards to this lineup?
Nope, absolutely awesome. Really happy for him, and hope he enjoys it.
Yep, absolutely. All right, guys, you can watch this video again. It'll be uploaded on YouTube here later this afternoon. RotoRadar Daily Fantasy Sports. We put a lot of our segments in these Twitch streams up on YouTube to review and to recap. So if you're interested in any of those, go sub and hit that like and follow button because it is free.